Welcome to Perma-Chink Systems webinar on preserving and repairing wood. I'm Kathy and I'll be your presenter today. In this webinar we will be discussing preservatives, wood ingesting bugs, and repairing wood decay. First, let's take a moment to discuss some of the tools you're going to be needing. Moisture meter is one of the best tools you can have in your home, or if you're a contractor or an applicator. This way you can, when you're doing your inspection, as we went through an inspection seminar, we'll be repeating that in the next few weeks. It'll help you spot moisture problems. It'll also help you make sure that the surface is dry enough to stain and seal. The other thing is just a garden sprayer, a household garden sprayer. Everybody should have one of those. And also a spray bottle. Those are great for small areas to be able to apply the pesticide and fungicide to the area. The wood shark, we carry the wood shark, but there's other grinder discs out there and different things, and those are good to have because if you do find a rotted area, these are great tools to be able to dig out that soft rot area. A good wood preservative that not only takes care of decay fungus, but also bugs that will bite or ingest the wood. I'll be going over our two pesticide fungicides right now. So Shell Guard, RTU. Oh, you know what? The one thing I forgot to say is definitely, make sure you type in those questions as we go. We'll be able to answer most of them online. So Shell Guard Ready to Use is kind of our second generation of pesticide fungicide, and it's a borate-based product. The glycols that we use in all of our pesticide fungicides are kind of like food. You'll find them grade glycols. You'll find them in face makeup and different soft stuff, even in some foods. So basically these borates that we carry are about toxic as table salt. They're very environmentally friendly. What I like about the RTU is it only takes 1 to 3 days for it to dry enough to be able to stain and seal over it. The Shell Guard Concentrate was our first generation. And the difference in that is it does take at least 2 weeks for you to penetrate through, and then you need to wash it off with log wash. So in that case, because we do have the RTU now, most of the time the Shell Guard is used like if you're treating wood in an area that you're not going to stain or seal over, or let's say your weather crashed in and you need to put a preservative on and it's going to sit without a stain on it over the winter. Then Shell Guard Concentrate is great because next year you're going to have to wash the logs anyway and get them prepared to be stained. Both of these products are excellent, and they are enough to kill even an African Formosa termite. And a wood repair kit. You will need a wood consolidator, ours is called M-Bomb, and a wood epoxy putty, ours is called E-Wood. And this allows you to consolidate the wood and fill the void. We're going to talk about just some insects that are most common that we see in wood or log home siding or logs. The first thing is our very favorite and most common is our carpenter ants. And they're pretty much all over the country. They're everywhere. They like damp wood. And the one key thing about this whole seminar, and even when we were into inspecting, is if you keep the wood dry, rotting funguses and bugs do not like that. They do not like dry wood. So that's what our key is. It's very hard sometimes to do, but with our new finishes, we'll go into different seminars about that too. So your carpenter ants do not actually ingest the wood. They bite into the wood, they chew it up, and they bring it back to their nest and use it as a nesting material, which the good news is it gives it a chance to get back to the nest, and it actually will kill the nest. Now the perfect example of that is that my father, bless his heart, had a beautiful stump of a tree that had fallen down, or actually was hit with lightning, and it was kind of gnarly and looking real cool. Well, he didn't want to remove it because it looked real cool. And I said, Dad, you're killing me here. That's going to bring pests into the house. And it did. what happened was carpenter ants attacked the deck, and $10,000 later, when we had to replace the deck, he understood the principle. But what we are able to do is get him by for a few years. So we treated and injected the posts and the deck and stuff with the shell guard, and then repaired some of the rot and the bug damage with the M-Bomb and some with E-Wood. And it got him through a few years until it was time to just absolutely start over. The thing that it did was that I proved to myself that it actually did kill the nest, because they brought those particles back to the nest, which was not far from the house. And when I went back years later and looked at it and stuff, that nest in that stump was still dead. So that it was contaminated enough to where the carpenter ants had died. It also is great for termites, any kind of termites. Do understand that none of these products are labeled for ground contact. So if you have subterranean termites, it is not to be sprayed on the ground. You don't want salts leaching into the ground and contaminating any kind of water system. You'd have to have an awful lot to do that, mind you, but still, it's not labeled for ground contact. This is a small wall that was actually going to be a test wall for us in our Knoxville, Tennessee parking lot, and the wind had blown it down, and it just was left there for probably about 3 weeks or so. When they lifted that up, the termites actually came through the asphalt and infested this wood. Now, we're going to talk a little bit about the life cycle of our beetles. Our wood-boring beetles have basically, all of them have the same type of life cycle. So first of all, what's going to happen here is the female is going to go along the wood, and you can see little cracks and crevices and things, and she will lay her eggs. The eggs will then hatch, and the small larva will just start chewing and ingesting the wood and digging deeper into the wood. And sooner or later, it'll go deep enough to where it'll go dormant. And you still won't see a hole here because the little egg and the little larva went deeper down before it got big enough. So it's going to stay in there. And we're going to go through which ones have the life cycles and how long they're going to be in there until it decides that it's going to become the beetle. So just before that, the larva itself will dig the hole to get out. Now, at this point, it's not necessarily eating the wood, but digging the wood to get a hole in there, so the beetle goes back in, metamorphoses into a beetle, and then kind of just walks its way out. So that's when you're going to see an actual hole, is when the beetle is exiting. Sometimes you can tell if it's an active infestation if the frass around the hole is sticky enough because the larva has a sticky saliva, and it's there. You might have a beetle metamorphosing and coming out. But most of the time what you're going to see is just a dry pile of frass on the bottom, and understand that that is an exit hole, and these bugs are long gone. So if the wood has been treated with the shell guard, what you're going to find is when the beetle lays her egg, it's going to kill the egg. And then if it does hatch and start digging in and the wood is treated with shell guard, then the larva itself will start digging in and end up dying and not exiting. But once you see this, that means the larva got deep enough in and it lay dormant, and now it's just exiting. So it's not necessarily an active infestation. It is just something that is coming out and going away. The different type of beetles that you'll most likely see are the anabide powder post beetles. The powder post beetles, the lactide, are hardwood, and you'll mostly see those in furniture or hardwood decks or whatever. The old house spores actually can stay 15 to 20 years as a dormant larva in, and none of these actually do a lot of damage. They're just mostly unsightly.